This is Joshua Vergara from Android Authority. What's going on, everybody? And here is your first look at the Samsung Galaxy Note 3. What we heard a lot of during the event, and what you may be hearing much of during the release of the Galaxy Note 3, is that it is the dawn of a new design language, and also the next step in Samsung's core user experience. In a lot of ways, the Galaxy Note 3 brings everything people loved about the Note 2 into the realm of the Galaxy S4, while adding a few new elements into the mix. In design, this expectation was that it would be more of the same from the Note 2, but we actually do see some changes this time around. Thanks to some thinner bezels, we have a slightly larger screen at 5.7 inches that has also been bumped up to a 1080p display. The Note 3 takes almost the same footprint of the Note 2 and makes it a little narrower and thinner while shedding some weight. At 168 grams, it is pretty light for a larger device and has a decent balancing that echoes the Galaxy S4 handling. The S Pen turns out smaller than the one found in the Note 2 and, as always, is neatly nestled in a slot in the bottom corner. Otherwise, almost everything about the Note 2, like the button layout, has been retained. What is probably the most jarring change in the Note 3 is the new general material. People who were getting tired of the glossy plastic that Samsung has become very well known for will likely rejoice at the updated material used in the Note 3. From the get-go, you can feel the difference in this textured plastic that also solves the fingerprinting due to not being glossy. The back cover, when removed, is still very thin though, and quite bendy, but this is probably going to be a still very welcome change to the general design. They even get a little tricky and add a stitching around the edges that makes you think like it's leather, when it's really not. As a larger screen at 5.7 inches capable of 1080p, this Super AMOLED screen is more of the same great display quality that Samsung has been capable of. What we are essentially seeing here is the very good high saturation display of the Galaxy S4, only larger. Pixel density gets to 338 ppi, which is just between the S4 and the Note 2. Overall, it is most of the great display experience that Samsung has been able to achieve with the Super AMOLED. While representatives at Samsung were pretty hush-hush regarding the processor package inside, it's pretty much a given that the Galaxy Note 3 will come with a Snapdragon 800 clocked in at over 2 GHz and backed by the updated Adreno 330. Variations with the octa-core Exynos processor will be available, however. Noteworthy is the upgrade to 3 GB of RAM, which allows for even more multitasking, especially considering there is more to do with the S Pen and added functionality that was originally found in the S4. Speed definitely felt very good in our time with the device, as everything from UI elements and S Pen functionality continued on very smoothly and without any hiccups. It's looking like a very snappy and speedy experience indeed. A 3200 mAh removable battery should bring pretty good longevity, while the 16 or 32 GB of storage can be expanded with a micro SD card. On the camera front, we can basically say that the Galaxy S4 camera has made its way to the Note. A quick look into the app shows that the majority, if not all, of the functions the S4 camera introduced have been retained. It should yield the same good 13 megapixel pictures as the S4. In this cursory glance, only one noticeable addition was a golf mode, which is essentially a drama shot made specifically for capturing a golf swing. And finally, TouchWiz has been updated to Android 4.3 in the Note 3. For Samsung, this update means the adding in of many, if not all, the gesture commands originally introduced in the Galaxy S4. This includes hand gestures, smart stay and pause, and air views, even though you could do this with the S Pen already. Speaking of the S Pen, it has been given a new small menu accessed by pressing the button while hovering. This gives access to 5 of the most used S Pen functions. Main ones are action memos, which can contextually plug your handwriting into appropriate apps, enhanced scrapbooking, and even a pen window function that essentially puts Samsung's version of small apps onto your screen. This is pretty much the same TouchWiz, but S Pen veterans will probably like the easier way of getting to their favorite functions. One last addition is the My Magazine, that acts like a second screen and consolidates your news and social media feeds in a somewhat flipboard fashion. And so, there you have it. The Galaxy Note 3 set for release pretty soon. Its most exciting new feature is probably the new material choice, which may or may not completely solve the issues people had with Samsung's typical plastic, but you know what? It certainly helps. The S Pen has been given even more life as a user's true companion and should please with the new Air Commands menu. Anyone hoping for customization can take advantage of different color cases or smart cases, of which there are plenty. With much of what the Galaxy S4 offered in a Galaxy Note package, we might be looking at one of the hands-down biggest releases of the year. Stay tuned for our full review once we get time with our own units, and keep on Android Authority for the rest of our coverage here from IFA in Berlin.